Greetings, all viewers of Elite. Um, Matter in program. I told you that after short break, Apostle N.R. Ratogwa will proceed. And indeed, I hope and believe that on the last episode with him, you have learned a lot. So now we are proceeding together on the other subject, which I just want to teach about 10 unavoidable dangers of undermining each other. 10 unavoidable dangers of undermining each other. You will really understand that as people, we can undermine each other with so many things. So, undermining is not harmless. Or banter or strategy. It is, it eats away at people, teams, and communities once it starts. So these consequences show up every time, more especially when we undermine each other. We can undermine each other even at the church, more especially if you consider yourself better than the other. Even at the workplace, we can undermine each other. Maybe because I am driving better car than yours. Maybe I have married someone who is better than yours in terms of material, finance, and each and everything. We can undermine each other even when it comes to education. We can label each other that you are not educated as I am, because I have got this and that. You know, we compare ourselves with so many things, but there are 10 unavoidable dangers because, you know, if we are not undermining each other, it means we appreciate each other. You know, when you appreciate someone, regardless of any reason. You see, but if we begin to undermine each other, I'm speaking this, or I am teaching this uh, with experience, not because I have undermined some other people. No, because I have seen other people who undermined others, or who have underestimated some other people in such a way that when they do so, they have um, encountered the very same kind of problems which I will be teaching you now. Number one, um, trust gets destroyed. You know, when you undermine me, immediately when you begin to undermine me, you should have to stay knowing that that trust will be destroyed. Because when you show up that now you take me as nothing, you take me as nothing. In other words, that trust which I used to have before, it depreciates. It depreciates. You see, so you can't build anything lasting where people are watching their backs. Every word gets doubted. You see, when you read on Proverbs chapter number 16, verse 28, it says that a perverse a person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. You see this. So if you gossip, because when you undermine me, actually speaking, you cannot automatically undermine me. At first, you will discuss with someone else and say that you see this guy has got this kind of weakness. Without confronting me, then you tell me that, Nedzi, I see this and that to you. You should have to fix this and that. If you are not confronting me to tell me that I see this kind of problem, therefore you jump into conclusion of undermining me. In other words, you are creating a bridge. You see, you are creating a bridge whereby is the end, no longer connection, no longer connection. So that's how it is. So number two, productivity collapses. Energy goes into politics. Covering yourself and second guessing instead of the actual work. So project stall. You see this? So this is what you must know. So productivity, it collapse. It collapse by means of doing so. So one other thing uh, which you should have to take into consideration. Um, I want you to understand something here. When you read on Proverbs chapter number 16, verse 28, it says that a perverse person stirs up conflict and a gossip separates close friends. It's the very same scripture which I give you. You see this? So when you undercut people, no one knows who is safe to be honest with. You see this? So in other words, when you show that you undermine other people, even those whom you are connected with, they will begin to doubt you. Why? Because you have already showed some, or you have already displayed some certain symptoms which are unbearable towards someone. So this is something which you must instantly avoid on the spot as I'm speaking. Because when you undermine me today, you do not know on what am I going to become tomorrow. So that is the problem. Because future, you do not know the future of someone. You can conclude maybe to the person who is dead because there is no more future, but to someone who is still breathing, someone who is still living, therefore you decide to undermine a person who is living because of material things, because of money, because of education. I'm telling you, you will have a problem. You will have a problem because there are so many ways which people can find money. And if they are in position of money, they can do whatsoever they like. If they decide to go to school, they can go. If they decide to build, they can build. If they decide to buy the car, they can. They can acquire each and everything because money is the answer. I hope and believe that you are learning. So that is the reason I said that productivity collapse or dies. You see this. So number 3, toxic culture spread. You see, when you begin to undermine people, you are creating a culture of undermining people. People will be surrounded, or people who will keep company with you, they are going to have the very same kind of spirit. What's tolerated becomes normal. You see this. Gossip and sabotage become their air everyone breathes. So when you undermine people, when you undermine people, even people who will be close to you, they are going to share the very same spirit with you. And this is something which you're supposed to avoid. I don't know if you are getting me. This is something which you should have to avoid instantly. Eh? This is something which you should have to avoid. I hope and believe that you are following. So, reading Ephesians 4:29, it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up." In other words, you do not have to speak it publicly. Actually, you should have to abort that kind of talk before other people. You do not have to say that this one will die as a dog. This one will never have anything in this life. You are putting a conclusion over someone's life. And if you are doing it like that, you should have to be careful. All people who are next to you, for they are going to share the very same kind of spirit. You should have to be aware of that. I hope and believe that you are following. So listen, um, when I go to number 4, uh, good people live. Good people live. When you begin to undermine other people, even good ones who were close or who are close to you, they will begin to vanish. You will be left alone. I'm telling you, you will be left alone. If you do not get rid of that kind of spirit, you will be left alone. This is what you must know. So, capable, secure people won't stay where they are constantly undermined. So, when you read Proverbs 16:8, it says, "Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice." I hope and believe that you are getting what I'm saying. So this is what you should have to take it into consideration. Unless otherwise you take this into consideration, you will regret. I'm telling you, you will regret. Here, I will never hide any truth. I will speak it out exactly as it is. It is up to you whether you take it or not. But as long as I have told you what I am telling you. All right, let me proceed like that. So, one other thing is number 5. Point number 5, decision making breaks down. Decision making breaks down. So, listen, when input can't be trusted, leaders stop listening and start guessing. You see this? When you read Proverbs chapter number 15, verse 22, it says that plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. If you still remember, I gave you this code. I gave you this passage on my first episode before Apostle Ratogwa took over. So I'm telling you, you know, if people discover that you have got this kind of spirit, you will never even get anyone who can approach and give you an advice. How can you advise a person who undermines you? Sometimes I will be, if I can decide to advise you, whereas I know that you do not appreciate some other people over what they have achieved. Instead of appreciating them over what they have achieved, you tend to undermine them. So sometimes I will be putting myself in danger if I can put myself into the position of advising you, whereas I know you have got that kind of spirit. So you should have to get rid of such if you want to be a good person. I hope and believe that you are following. So now, point number 6, innovation stops. Innovation stops. So indirect attacks create grudges because nothing gets resolved openly. You see this? Reading epistle of Romans 12:18, it says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. I like this passage. You see, if you know that you are materially stable, if you know that you are financially stable, if you know that you have got everything, what does it cost you to live with each and everyone peacefully? Because it is not each and everyone whom you can be next to who will ask you something. You know, some other people will be enough with you if you can greet them, if you can show them kindness, if you can appreciate them the way as they are. But the problem happens if we begin to undermine. When you begin to undermine other people, that's where problem comes in. You see this? I have got money. I have got this and that. No one is coming to ask me that, can you give me this? Can you give me that? You see this? It's not each and everyone who can be next to you in response of asking or in expense of asking you for something. Some other people, for they are enough with what they have. And they are afraid of bothering other people by means of asking things. They are enough with what they, if it means to sleep with hunger, they can sleep with hunger, knowing that you have got money, and if they can ask you, sometimes you can give them. But because you have got that spirit of undermining some other people, they even think if they can come to you and ask something, you will go all around talking about them. So they are trying by all means to avoid that drama. I hope and believe that you are listening. So now, listen, innovation stops. People hide ideas because they fear they will be stolen or mocked. That is the reason they remain silent. Have you ever discovered that there are some other people, if they are next to some other people, they usually keep quiet. But if they are exposed to some other people who are of their calibers, they talk too much. They are gabier. Why? Because they are free. But when they are next to you, they remain silent. Why? They are afraid to be mocked or judged. So you should have to be careful. Live equally, live freely with some other people. You do not have to judge people or undermine them. Otherwise, you will experience what I'm teaching about now. Okay, well, Let me proceed like that. Point number 7. Conflict festers. Indirect attacks create grudges because nothing gets resolved openly. So that is the reason I said it is, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with each and everyone. You see this? I hope and believe that you got it. Let me proceed. One other thing, which is part number 8, reputation is ruined. Reputation is ruined. So it leaks out. Partners, funders, and the community lose trust in the whole group and the whole group. Listen, Proverbs 22 verse 1, it says, a good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. This is what you must know. To be esteemed is better than silver and gold. You see this? So try by all means to live good with some other people. What makes you better than others in such a way that you can undermine others? What is so important with you? What you see, if you are more important than some other people, you're supposed to live alone. The reason why you are exposed in this world to live with some other people is because you cannot have enough as a person. What you have is enough with you. I don't believe you got me there. So, in other words, what you have is good for you. And it is not a must to share it with some other people unless you decide to do so. And if you have decided to do so, you have done it right. But there is no reason which you can tell me that I have got this reason. That is the reason I'm undermining others. What is the use of that? Well, that is the reason even in the church of Christ, we have got so many people who are having the very same kind of problem. We undermine each other. As pastors, we do not invite each other. Why? Because I regard maybe a certain man of God as inferior. I cannot invite a person who is inferior because I consider myself better than him or her. And if we have got this kind of thing, I'm telling you that we are going nowhere. What kind of a culture are we going to create if we have got that kind of tendency? I think now it is very much important for us to get rid of such. I hope and believe that you are getting such. So listen, number 9, leaders lose credibility. If you undermine others, your team assumes you will do it to them too. You see, you will be left alone. You will experience solitary moments alone. Avoid undermining other people. You see, the way you see things today, it does not mean even tomorrow will be the same. You are not into the thought of that person. You do not know on what is that person thinking about. Maybe today, maybe it can happen that today I'm poor, I do not have this and that. Whereas deeply in my thought, I'm thinking about to improve the situation. You do not know what I'm thinking about, but you are busy undermining me with what I have or with what I do not have. You have got a problem. Fix that. I hope and believe that you are following. Reading Philippians 2 verse 3 it says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. Value each and every one. Value a street kid as much as you value a person who has got so many dollars. This is what you must do. We have got this kind of problem and we have to fix that. Okay, well, let me conclude by the last point. The mission is lost. You start fighting each other instead of fighting for the purpose. You will remember that on my last episode, I was teaching about a purpose. But now I'm giving you an advice. Reading on Mark 3:25, it says that if a house is divided against itself, that a house cannot stand. I hope and believe that you are getting that. That house cannot do what? That house cannot stand. Yes, that house cannot stand. So it is up to you as whether you continue with the way you think you are better than others, or repent. It is up to you. I'm done with what I think it was important for you. Because these points which I gave them to you, they are always evangelizing my mind, so that when I want to fall into, when sometimes uh, I can be tempted to fall uh, into doing such, these points will remind me that, Nezi, you should have to be careful. You do not have to do this, because once you do this, you are going to experience a very serious problem. I love you people. Let us meet on the last on the last episode of the day. And now I'm going again on the short break. Apostle Ratogwa will continue. When he's done, I will be back to conclude. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Shalom.